on to our next news. U.S. Vice President JD Vance states that U.S. President Donald Trump recognizes the need to negotiate with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin, despite their differences. In an interview, Vance has added that he has heard people criticize Trump for talking to Putin, but also stated that it is necessary in order to bring peace. These statements from Vance comes as a meeting between Trump and Putin in Budapest, Hungary, was postponed earlier. Moscow and Washington stated that the meeting will take place when suitable conditions are created. Both leaders last met in mid-August in Alaska to discuss an end to the Russia-Ukraine war. Now for this discussion, we welcome Professor Vasilin Popovsky. He's a professor and vice dean at Jindal Global Law School, joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much, Professor, for joining us again. Good to see you. Professor, looking at this, what do you think, what political factors would be influencing the timing and location of Trump-Putin meeting if it were to happen?
Well, I don't think it will happen very soon. There is no point. The meeting in Budapest was cancelled because at some point the Russian Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, basically repeated all these demands, and they are absolutely nonsense demands, for the Ukrainian army to withdraw from the 4 regions, for sanctions to be lifted, and for the government in Ukraine to be replaced by a pro-Russian government. And all this, obviously, Marco Rubio, after his correspondence with Lavrov, reported to Donald Trump that there is no point to meet because it will be absolutely useless meeting, and Trump will look very badly in the public opinion of the world if he meets again and nothing comes out of that meeting. Certainly after that, and there was some exchange of mutual threats. The Russians were talking about some renovating old system, Burevestnik, and to start some new testing of that old missile. Americans responded that we have much more weapons, you can do whatever you want to do, we are not scared. And later we see in Kremlin the language becoming a little bit more mild, and they kind of said, no, we didn't mean that, we want to continue negotiations. But obviously, these are like zigzagging messages from Washington and Moscow. And certainly it comes also what JD Vance is saying, that yes, we can continue some talks with Moscow, but there is no prospect here. Putin is not stopping killing civilians in Ukraine. For some meaningful negotiation, there should be a ceasefire first. And if Putin rejected 8, 9, 10 times, even a short-term, 30-day ceasefire, there is really no point to talk to Putin. Again, I don't see this happening. So although Russians are now trying to please Trump, because this is the only thing left for Russia. Russia had no good news on the battlefield. Russia is suffering, its economy is collapsing, sanctions are working very well. Ukraine is hitting the oil refineries, and the biggest depot in Novorossiysk in the Black Sea has been hit by Ukrainian drones. Effectively 30, even more % of the Russian oil export is affected by Ukrainian drones. And these are always very, very bad news for Putin, bad news for Kremlin. And they still kind of pray for one last opportunity to talk to Trump and somehow to try to get something out of that talk. But even that is meaningless. Trump is not going to support Putin anymore. He realized how long time, 10 months already we are in this year, and absolutely zero achievement of all these attempts to negotiate with Putin, which means that there should be a time to stop even those attempts and move into a harsh language, into demand for ceasefire, more sanctions, more isolation of Vladimir Putin until he realizes that he's left alone in the world and nobody is supporting him, apart from North Korea maybe, but nobody else.
And Professor, do you think, as we know previously, Trump was very open about, his motive of pushing Putin into a ceasefire or coming into peace deal with Ukraine was getting a Nobel Peace Prize. But now, do you think his motive could be shifted towards upcoming election, as with the U.S. government shutdown and a lot of things going on in U.S., his popularity is going down?
Yes, you're absolutely right, Asuma. His priorities shift more towards the domestic audience. He faces a lot of elections. He faces a lot of other internal disbalances within the United States. So for him, Russia-Ukraine is left not even in the top 10 priorities anymore, which is, again, as I said, a very bad news for Russia, because they couldn't get anything out of Donald Trump, apart from language, apart from statements, apart from talk, but that talk is also empty. It doesn't give Russia any advantages. Yes, the priorities are shifting, and Trump will focus much more on the forthcoming elections next year. But in the meantime, we see support on the law level, on the level of Marco Rubio, the foreign secretary. We see supportive messages that United States will continue sanctioning Russia and supporting Ukraine, which is probably at this point the maximum that Ukraine and Zelensky can achieve, to have somehow Europeans in a strong support, but Americans still behind that, at least not damaging the situation. Vladimir Putin wanted Trump to be on his side, and he achieved the opposite. Now Donald Trump is not only on the 0 point, but he's even in the negative for Russia point.
Right. With that, I would like to thank Professor Popovsky for sharing that. Please stay with us as we come back to you for our next news as well. Now we